Hello, everybody. I am Nick, and welcome to the Friday Night Frenzy, where everything is canon and the topics, well, they're more like guidelines than actual rules. Hello, Keely. How you
Hey.
doing here? How's everyone doing tonight? Nick, what you up to?
Well, not too much.
All right, and then Chris, how are you doing?
Oh my God. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but I was heartbroken this week and it wasn't even something that happened to me.
Are you all right?
I just watched 500 people at Riot lose their jobs and
Oh.
probably twice that at Blizzard lose their jobs, and they shut down their survival game Odyssey. And a lot of talented people lost their jobs. And what's really scary is this is on the heels of the whole AI stuff coming into play, and a lot of the decisions, all those decisions that we criticize about, like corporate, the corporate level decisions. Well, those people are still employed. The ones who lost their jobs are the very talented artists and designers and engineers.
Well, eventually this is all going to come to a head. I know, Chris. I know, Chris. You're more the black pill, and I'm more the white. You're more of a Debbie Downer. I'm more of a hopeful. I think that's kind of why people like watching us. But I believe that karma comes for us all, and if the industry wants to head into an AI riddled direction, it's going to bite them in the butt, because all these games are going to be. If we think games are all samey now, wait till they're all made by the same algorithm.
Yep.
It's see, this is and it's I was gonna jump straight into our main topic, but we got honestly, you brought that up, and that kind of reminded me of the other kind of main topic. So what do you think about Xbox laying off their entire physical games division?
Yeah, that's the other one. A lot of people at Microsoft are now out of work. And here's the thing is we can dump on, as customers, we can dump on the quality of the products and stuff. But again, the people that were making these corporate decisions to allow that quality, or to allow those decisions that weren't necessarily part of actual development, those are the people that keep their jobs. It's physicality is being removed from game, no longer having game ownership or whatever, or any illusion thereof. I think it's going to destroy the industry. And I'm not just trying to be hyperbolic. I mean, I think people are just going to be like, I don't want to pay 300 monthly fees just so that I can play video games.
Oh, I mean, it's not just with the video games, but it's also with all the streaming services. Yep. But not only that, but they're all adding the ad tiers back in. People cut the cord for a reason.
Yep.
And we had basically 10-ish years of, I wouldn't necessarily say bliss, but a proverbial golden age of streaming. And now they're trying to make streaming cable. I don't think people are going to bite, because they're, especially with the economy getting bad. What's the first thing to go when you need to tighten your budget? You drop the streaming. You drop the streaming services.
Yep.
And it just, especially with all the content playing roulette. Like for example, I think it's let's say you wanted to watch Doctor Who, all of Doctor Who, you would have to go through 4 different streaming services, because one has the classic era, another has the new Who era of Eccleston through Capaldi, or the female Doctor, and then Disney has the new series.
Oof.
Hey, Black Reaper Kai, how you doing? Hey. And that's not even getting into series that are just kind of in a black hole. For example, Battlestar Galactica, the reboot from the 2000s, great show. If it is not currently streaming. If you want to get it, if you want to watch Battlestar Galactica, you have to buy it from Amazon or one of these other services. You cannot actually stream Battlestar Galactica currently.
Well, I'm glad I have the DVD set.
I have a couple of them. I need to complete my box sets.
Nice.
And it's insane, because Battlestar Galactica is one of those shows where if they put it on Netflix, it like like for example, House like Suits, like it during its run nobody cared, but as soon as it hits streaming services, suddenly it's the greatest show ever,
Yeah.
Or like the Office, or like all these other shows that like benefited from streaming.
Yep.
Mad Men is like basically Mad Men built Netflix.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, like Mad Men, like it was Mad Men and The Office, that built it, and Bad Robot, most definitely, most definitely. I credit Battlestar Galactica for basically pioneering prestige television, because Battlestar Galactica appeared in like 2004. They weren't doing prestige television in 2004. Without Battlestar Galactica, you wouldn't have had Breaking Bad, House of Cards, Game of Thrones. Battlestar Galactica basically paved the way for all those shows, and it kind of gets talked about, but not really. I actually went back and rewatched the miniseries.
Oh yeah,
the CG is a bit dodgy. I will be honest with you.
Yeah, toasters.
But at the same time, it's 2004 television, cable television CGI, so cut it some slack, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And especially for like that vintage and like that like bottom of their barrel budget, it's still not bad. It's noticeable, but it's not like, oh my god, this is an assault on the eyes. Like, it still looks better than Thor: Love and Thunder.
Ouch.
As dated as it is, it still looks better than Thor: Love and Thunder. To be fair, that's like a very low bar, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, the show, holy crap, is it good? Like, it is intense. The thing that I always loved about Battlestar Galactica was it actually raised very important moral questions, and it actually made you think. And it kind of puts you in positions where, like, for example, in one of the later arcs where they're on like New Caprica, the Cylons actually occupy New Caprica, and you got into what the humans resort to doing: suicide bombings.
Yep.
And mind you, this is in like 2005, 2006, the height of the Israeli Palestinian like suicide bombing epidemic. Because, like, if for those who don't remember, like, it was like every week there was a new suicide bombing in Israel during like the 2000s. Do you remember that, Chris?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so basically it kind of puts you in the perspective of the other side, And then there's another one where they did torture, like they had a Cylon prisoner trying to get information, and like they did like the waterboarding, all that stuff, and like it makes you see it from another perspective, And I just always appreciate it. Like, that is what sci-fi is supposed to do. Like, you want to talk about shows getting political, that's how you freaking do it. Like nowadays they would have been so ham-fisted with it, but they wrapped it up in a very tight metaphor, and that is what sci-fi should do. Thank you, Bad Robo. But yeah, like, how much do you remember Battlestar Galactica, Chris?
Oh, I remember it all. Yeah, I remember when it first came out. I was working for a newspaper, and I wasn't able to watch it live.
It did kind of fall by the wayside towards the end, and
oh yeah,
the ending is a bit dodgy.
It has a J.J. Abrams effect to it. It had a great build up, and then
I think partially it was the writer's strike. The third season. Plus, I believe they're plotting on doing more seasons. I don't quote me on that, but I don't know. It feels like the show just kind of decided, all right, we're just gonna end this.
Yeah, it also got confusing because they you remember the episode where they arrived at a Earth, not the Earth, but a Earth.
Yeah,
and it was like a bombed out like San Francisco, and like they're all there, and they're like, yeah, the radiation here and all this stuff, and oh yeah, there's a big war here, and I'm like, is this Earth? Like, what? And then all of a sudden they're like, no, just kidding. And then they they're ending there where they like arrived during prehistoric times or whatever, and I was like,
also, you gotta love the subtle implications. Like, they see like what I'm assuming are Neanderthals.
Yep.
Like it's basically they're basically implying that like the Battlescar people are the Cro-Magnons, essentially.
Yeah.
And that they like or mitochondrial Eve, Cro-Magnons or whatever. I don't know. I did enjoy the religious aspects of the show. I feel like this show, like for that reason alone, they could never make the show today because it is both it's a subversive religious show, but it's still respectful of like religion. If you get what I'm trying to say.
Well, the Cylons were basically worshiping the Abrahamic deity. They're like, what do you mean these gods? There is only one God.
And I'm sure he doesn't dress like that.
Yeah. Man,
and some of them were literally angels,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, Trisha Helfer, hey now.
Oh yeah, that woman is still an angel. She's also the devil, but that's a whole other show. That is a whole
devil.
And that's kind of weird because like Trisha Helfer, she was a sex symbol for like a good 5 years, and she's still a smoke show. Don't get me wrong. She still looks amazing, but like she was everywhere for like 5 years, and now no one even talks about her. It's weird.
Yeah, well, she was the voice of Kerrigan in the Queen of Blades in StarCraft 2.
She was also Black Cat in Spider-Man Web of Shadows. She was in a lot of things. In like the late 2000s, and whatever. But like seems like mostly she's known for her role in Lucifer, which fair play, that's a little more recent. But that's just kind of thing. It's like nobody talks about the show other than the people who remember it, and that is because it hasn't been available for like 10 years. The show hasn't been available outside of DVDs and Blu-rays. If it was on streaming, everyone would be talking about the show.
Yep.
It's like Firefly gets more chatter than that because Firefly is not that hard to stream.
Nope.
Well, that and Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
I mean, he aims to misbehave, so how can you?
If someone tries to kill you, you try to kill them right back.
I swear on my pretty floral bonnet, I will end you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need to do a deep dive into Firefly at some point, but we're not here for Firefly. We're here because we all live in a Palworld. Okay, that it worked exactly as how I wanted it. But yeah, so this game just kind of came out of the scene. Like, obviously, it's been in development for like 3 years, but it just burst onto the public consciousness, and it just making like a movie theater, and it's just like making waves. Like, Chris, what are your thoughts on the whole thing?
I initially saw it and I was like, wow, it kind of looks like Breath of the Wild. But then I realized it was like an Ark survival game or like a Valheim or whatever.
Well, here's the thing. It's kind of basically like Pokemon, Ark, and Breath of the Wild if they had like a threesome and then they're all able to impregnate each other. This metaphor is getting really, really weird.
I think I've seen that on DeviantArt.
See, no, that's kind of what my younger brother said. He ended up getting it too on Steam, and he's been playing it the last couple of days since it came out. And I've been asking him about it. He said, it's really fun. It's just like Ark, but with Breath of the Wild art style.
Here's the thing. We can talk about this all we want, but let's just look at it. Yeah. So this is Palworld. Yes, I've had it like ready to go this whole time. And I'm going to show you the save that I've been playing. So I'm on day 17. So I've been playing this for a while. Okay. Yep. And it definitely has kind of like just kind of pay attention. I had the sound down a little bit, so I'll just talk. See how like it has that kind of piano chime, that very like Breath of the Wild piano chime. So this is my base.
Yeah, we can't hear the audio. I don't think it's being shared.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. So this is my base, and these are all my pals, and I have them put to work.
Get to work!
Slave labor!
Yep.
I mean, that's literally what it is. What I really like is, like, different pals can do different things. Like, they're different, like, harvesting, And the one criticism that people give that I do agree with it is some of the designs are very eerily close. Like, I'm sorry, that's grokey. That is grokey.
Oh, these are totally. This is. If I were to wager a guess, I would say these were generated through, or the concept art was generated through generative AI. I think they just fed in a bunch of Pokemons and said, "Give me something." Because don't
at that point,
well, they have inconsistent style. That's to me the dead giveaway. Like some of them look like they belong in other games. Like the wolves look like they're from Twilight Princess.
Okay.
But that's just me being an art director. Like I'm like, guys, this does like your stroke width is wrong. Your eye spacing or your eye size is wrong. Some have fur, some have like polygonal fur. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely I would say there's AI involved, but
yeah,
I don't know.
And I guess you got to ask yourself, do you care? Personally, I don't, because the game's still fun.
Well, from a legal perspective, I would worry, because if I made a game and somebody made a game that used, my concept art or whatever to build their own game, I'd be bullshit. But
all right, so you want to see how you capture a pal? Let's anyone up for some pork? Oh,
whoa! It just like went right through him. Bug, yeah, bug.
Yep, he dead though. He dead. Yep. So that's my that's one of my elephants, and the reason why this ghost thing is following me is because I have the key item that lets me follow me.
Nice.
Yeah.
My one thing is that the pals seem kind of out of place in the world. Like the world looks a little too realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world,
like the pals are very
wild, and yeah.
Like I get the whole like the asset flip accusations.
Yeah, Unity or Unreal assets.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Breath of the Wild had a bit more tunishness to its style.
Yeah, you're right.
Find.
Yeah. Yeah, this looks like, again, it like going back to what I was saying about how the characters don't look like they belong in like
this one could be Ponyta right there.
Yeah, like some of the characters look like, or some of the pals look like they're straight out of Pokemon. Others look like they're out of Breath of the Wild or like some other Zelda game or something. And there's like some of them have like simulated fur, and some of them have this like polygonal fur, and it's like, guys, if you're an art director, you have to define a consistent art style.
Yeah.
And the world does not match the art style of the pals.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, I think the reason why this game has kind of like gotten so popular is because the game loop is honestly rather
big. Yeah. Well, it's the core game loop of build. It's you're constantly like chasing a tech tree that it keeps expanding. You're starting with a bow. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, starting with a bow. Yeah.
Yeah, then you can go all the way to an AK-47.
Yeah.
Or and again, that looks out of place too. Like where you've got like Pokemon basically running around with like Call of Duty weapons.
I mean, I think it's kind of like that dichotomy that like people like Pokemon with guns. Like I even showed you. Let's see here. If I had some other pals, I could show you some really crazy stuff. But I'm trying to find one I haven't captured before.
Yeah, you get the color. Yeah, well, here's the thing: is like actually the guns are a good example. Like if you look at a game like Fortnite, that they also have modern guns or whatever, but the Fortnite art direction.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, he just jumped out. Now he's dead. I'll teach you to escape.
Well, they're actually knocked out. That's one thing I do give it. Like they just knock out.
I want to see it die.
All Die, monster! You don't belong in this world.
Yeah.
Not by my hand. That was once again given. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at the guns in Fortnite, they look like they belong. Like I'm actually amazed by the art direction of the Fortnite games. I'm not a big fan of Fortnite. I don't enjoy playing it, but like every time they have like guest characters or like their new batch of buy these new skins, they all are consistent in art style across the board. They all look like they belong in the same game, and all of the weapons they belong together too. Like if they have an AK-47, it's like a Fortnite AK-47. It's not, like in Palworld, when you start getting like the AK-47s or whatever, it looks like it's out of like Counter-Strike or like some other game. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Like this game is obviously a bit janky. I think Dave kind of hits the nail on the head. It's a cool novelty, but the hype will be gone in 6 months. I wouldn't say they don't consider it a threat because this is the first time something like this has ever really blown up as much as, because we've had Pokemon clones before, like Temtem and so many other games, but never before has like. I love Nintendo's response. Like essentially, we hear you. Shut the F up.
Why?
Yeah. Because here's the thing: if Nintendo was going to take down Palworld, we all know how litigious they are. We all the Nintendo ninjas. They would have done it already. Literally,
they would have
what they've done is they've taken down the Pokemon mod for Palworld. Which, okay, yeah, fair. They have every right to do that. But the thing is, like, the similarities, like yes, they're similar, and some of them do look strikingly similar. Like I pointed out the Grookey, and I think there's one that basically looks like a recolored Luxray or whatever. Yeah, I don't think and that's the thing. Okay, this game. Do you want to what's the current total for Palworld sales? Because we need to put this into context for like just how big this game is. Let's see here. Over 7 million copies in 5 days. That was 2 days ago. 7 million in 5 days. All right. Let's try
more than Cyberpunk.
Okay, actually, yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 sales. Okay. Well, Cyberpunk sold 25 million, so
okay. Never mind.
Name a game that you think it might have sold more there. Like, I'm trying to put this into context.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines?
Well, that game was a sleeper hit, so
yeah, that's true.
Final Fantasy 7 remake. Okay, perfect. Do you want to know what the total sales for Final Fantasy 7 remake are?
What's that?
7 million.
So it made the same amount in like 4 times it's been out for years now.
Yeah. And that's a marquee game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have heard of Square Enix. Who the hell makes Palworld?
All right, I'm trying to find the sales numbers for Final Fantasy 16. All right. Here's one from September. 3 million copies. That was in its first week. So, Palworld sold more in a week than the latest Final Fantasy.
Wow.
And by the way, that's its first week. That's 7 days. Palworld sold more in 5. Like, this is why Palworld is such a phenomenon right now, because we have not seen this, and this is the other thing. We haven't seen this high level of success in video games in some time. And it's like, this just goes to show. Like, people keep talking about, like, oh, gaming is dead, comics are dead, movies are dead, and then like every time a piece of media comes along that gets people's attention, it does insanely successful. Barbenheimer, this. Like, sorry, there is no superhero fatigue. It's bad movie fatigue. There is no video game fatigue. It's bad video game fatigue. Like we've gotten so used to crap. I did that on purpose. But like, we've gotten so used to the crap. Anything slightly better than crap is like the most delicious delicacy ever.
And that's kind of a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, I call this the Godzilla 2014 effect. And to explain that, so Godzilla 1998 was horrendous. That's a lot of fish. Then the next American Godzilla came out in 2014. Like, basically, people still had it in their heads of the 1998 movie. And the 2014 one was above average, like, it was decent. But because it was a decently above average movie, compared with the last entry in a film, it's done so badly, and like the next one does like okay above average, people tend to overrate it than what it actually is what the Godzilla 2014 effect is. So then this applies to Palworld, because Pokemon has been such meh for so long. Some people might say garbage. I don't say that because I played Pokemon Scarlet and I had a good time, but it's jank. Honestly,
it really is.
Like, honestly, if you put Scarlet and Violet side by side with Palworld, yes, the only difference is Pokemon has a consistent art style. Other than that, they are both like in similar levels of jank.
Well, here my thing is I think what oh God, what's the name? HAL Labs, the guys that make Pokemon.
What Alakazam though? That's pretty much that was pretty much my thoughts. Yeah. Also, Dave, no wonder we are best friends. I love you. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so HAL Laboratories or whatever, the guys that are making it, I think they've never had competition, or the competition that they've had has been so minuscule that they've just sat on their laurels, and their open world experience. There's
only 2 times where they've had like some competition. In the late 90s when Digimon was at its peak, and then when Yokai Watch was getting big. Like, Yokai Watch for a minute there was looking like it might actually dethrone Pokemon. It ultimately didn't, but Yokai Watch was the one that had the biggest chance.
Well, the problem though is because they've stagnated for so long, anybody that works at PAL or HAL Laboratories or whatever, I don't think anybody that works there now worked on any of the actual Pokemon games from when we were playing them, like GameCube and earlier.
And as the higher ups still there, like I think Junichi Masuda, like he's been directing the game since I believe Gen 2 or Gen 3. He's still there, but he's like pretty high level now, so I don't know if he's there.
Yeah, he's probably not. Yeah, it's just he's looking at bottom lines, but like,
yeah.
I think what's happened is it's become so mechanized and so stagnant creatively that they no longer have any interest or talent to broaden their broaden the appeal.
I disagree.
Palworld? No, Palworld is filling a niche that Pokemon has failed.
Well, here's I gotta push back against that a little bit. Because if that were the case, then Pokemon Legends Arceus would have never came to be. Because Legends Arceus was a genuine attempt to shake up the formula in a meaningful way, and I love that game.
Yeah, but it didn't get the sales. Like it's not. It's not
sold pretty well, I think.
But is it the de facto Pokemon game? Like, I still hear people talking about Scarlet and Violet or whatever, and it's I don't know.
Like I still hear people talking about Legends Arceus.
Yeah, all I know is I remember when Pokemon was kind of in its prime.
Oh, like, dear God. Oh dear God. Do you want to hear the sales numbers?
Sure.
For Legends Arceus? 6.5 million in 1 week. and Sword and Shield sold 6 million in 1 week. Palworld has outsold Pokemon.
Yes. And it's because
Palworld beat Pokemon.
It's because it's filling a niche, or it's filling a demand that HAL Laboratories is either unable to. Sorry, what?
I'd say
what are you going to say,
gotten too complacent.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, they not only did they get complacent, but they don't have any of the talent anymore. I mean, if you were to look back in the height of Pokemon, and I would say we're past its prime, there were all sorts of experimentations. Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Pinball, Pokemon Match 3. They even had a real a strategy RPG with Pokemon set in medieval Japan.
Yeah, Pokemon
Conquest.
That thing was
Pokemon
amazing.
Conquest. The samurai one. Yeah, that was a great game. The strategy one. That is a really fun game.
Hell yeah, and that's what needs to happen. And I'm sorry, but I worked for a Japanese developer. They're the most hated phrase that I've heard every time I was there. Well, this is the way it's always been. Like they don't innovate. You know, they renovate. They don't innovate, and it's
and that's kind of Nintendo's problem in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Is when Nintendo's back is against the corner and it's do or die, they produce some of the greatest consoles ever made. The Switch would not have happened if the Wii U did marginally well. Okay, the Switch only happened because Nintendo was actually the 3DS was doing great, but they could not go through another generation where their console was losing money like that, and so they made a great console. And look how quickly Nintendo stagnated after the Switch was successful. After the Switch was printing money, and Nintendo does this all the time. They did this during the Wii U era. Like the Wii U was selling the Wii U was selling gangbusters, and they basically did jack crap, and that led to the Wii U. You know, same thing with the N64. The Super Nintendo did great, and so they did the N64, and that kind of failed. And so the GameCube was a response to the failing of the N64, but even that wasn't enough. And that's kind of Nintendo's problem. And that's why I really fear the Switch 2, because it's just probably going to be iterative. And if they're not going to do much, I don't know. Nintendo's like Microsoft. Every other console is good.
Well, what I'd like to kind of point out here from my perspective is, at least as an outsider looking in from the cultural side of the Japanese, is that the Japanese as a people are very much of a, if it works, don't fix it, and only address the problem once it becomes a problem. They are perfectly fine with staying the course and staying the line so long as that line does not drop in the red.
I mean, what is it? There's this phrase in Japan. It's like the nail that sticks out is the one that gets the hammer, or something like that.
Yeah, well, yeah. It explains why they're online and their website, their graphic design. If you've ever looked at a Japanese website, it's atrocious. It's 10 years behind us. But their online services compared to Steam or Xbox Live is laughably bad. And the same goes for the PlayStation Online experience. Although that one has been Americanized to some degree, and you can kind of feel it in some of their newer kind of UX. But
I mean, that's probably why Japanese gamers have been kind of doing a slow migration to PC. Because because PC adoption in Japan has been slowly climbing. And I think with the Steam Deck entering Japan, that's going to get even larger.
We are the master race, after all.
Damn straight.
Well, I think there's just kind of an entire migration as a whole of the gaming market from console to PC slowly over time, as console manufacturers, which Microsoft is a part of this problem, stagnate due to lack of competition and innovation, because they're kind of set in their motion. They have their course, and even Microsoft is like, we have our course, let's just stay it.
Yeah, like it's like all three consoles are kind of doing different things. Nintendo is basically in its own universe, so that's whatever. Microsoft is trying to get out of the console game and go into the services direction. We don't know. Well, like, who knows it? Like, I think that'll kind of crash and burn for them, but may be seen. Whereas PlayStation is kind of just doing what they've always done. Like, they kind of just took their PS4 strategy and transferred the PS5, and that's kind of working out okay from them.
The problem with Sony is their approach to their software, especially with the censorship, especially from like the mega fans.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they're American now.
They get a lot more traction if any of their games were like, I don't know, just hear me out here, PlayStation only.
Yeah, console
also true.
Yeah, like definitely the PlayStation side is Americanized. I don't like the rest of the company. I think it's still Japanese, but like the PlayStation side is definitely Americanized.
Yeah, it's in San Diego, and one of my former coworkers is one of the bosses.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I don't want to trash my boss or my former boss because he was a great guy, but Americanizing Sony has doomed it. I don't foresee them. I don't foresee that PlayStation 2 commercial coming to fruition. You know the one, PlayStation 9?
Yep. Well, like what you and I talked on Twitter, Chris, the fact that we are essentially culturally whitewashing Japanese content to appeal to a quote-unquote global audience, that's killing the media. If anything, had the gaming media become more culturally and folklorally, like become more diverse and become kind of more snapshots of each and every culture in its greatest degree, I think there would be a whole lot more adoption and a whole lot more worldwide interest in them, because you can experience different cultures through video games in a way that you never could through music, TV show, and film.
Like, we're literally seeing this thing play out in the indie scene. Like you're having like for example, like a Moroccan creates a video game with kind of like a more their flair, or like we're seeing like with we're seeing indie games from people all over the world. Like a Polish studio makes a game about wartime, and they draw upon their experiences, and like people from all across the world are creating the games of cultural experiences, and it's great.
And that's antithetical to globalism, because globalism wants to destroy national identity. In fact, they've basically made nationalism a dirty word. But I hate to say it, but nationalism is a good thing, and so isn't cultures contained within nations. And what made Japanese games so beloved is the fact that they were Japanese. If you get rid of that Japaneseness, you might as well make the games anywhere you want. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you've lost that draw.
I mean, literally, if it wasn't for Nintendo, video games would have died out in the 90s. Because yes, the video game crash was specifically a North American thing. I realize video games were fine, and because Europe at the 80s was mostly was mostly PCs. Like, you had your Commodores, your PETs, your ZX Spectrums. Like, they were fine, and like all the rest of the world was fine. It was America. Nintendo revitalized in America, but the thing is, I would argue video games might have died out eventually all over the world, if not for like the U.S. kind of like really bringing it back wholesale.
Yeah, well, you could also take,
and then Dave says the other side of the coin.
Yeah,
like Nintendo sticking to its philosophy of fun over, and like, yes, I will be the first person to rag on people like Shigeru Miyamoto, who has this insensitive desire for a game has to have a new innovative mechanic before they do a new version.
What's the gimmick? What's the new system?
As much as I want to rag on it, I would still let them have that mindset than just like, oh, let's remake The Last of Us Part 2 again.
Well, I mean, this new gimmick per game thing, it works though. People are excited to see what the newest gimmick is. I am, at least. I'm excited for the new
desire
games.
for a new gimmick is why we haven't gotten a new F-Zero. I mean, they got F-Zero 99. That was Nintendo throwing us a bone, honestly. That was like, here, you want a new F-Zero game? Here, now shut the F up. And then like Star Fox Zero on the Wii U days.
That was awful.
That was hampered by the desire for new gimmicks.
Yeah, well, that the gimmick destroyed the game because basically you needed the Wii U controller to do all the fine tuning aiming using the gyros, and there was no way to opt out of that. And what really killed the game for me was you're watching the TV and there's a cutscene playing, like, oh, Fox is talking to Wolf or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Oh, wait, you're still flying. And all of a sudden, like your controller starts vibrating. You're like, what the hell's going on? And you're looking through the little view portal on your Wii U controller, and you realize you just crashed into a wall.
Okay, to be fair, I didn't say it was perfect. I just said it worked.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to work well.
See, Chris, the reason why you crashed into a wall is because you had Nix as your co-pilot.
True, I can't drive.
There's a very sexist joke in there somewhere I'm not going to make.
Yeah, I liked some of it though. Like when they had like the reflex games or whatever, and like the game that came with it, Nintendo World, that showed off all the gimmicks of the Wii U. That was fun as hell.
Or even like the WarioWare stuff that came out for the Wii U. That was good stuff too.
Yeah, they're
still doing WarioWare
tech demos.
WarioWare is always top tier.
Yeah, but it's always like little snack-sized games. Like you're never gonna get like, it's kind of like with the PSVR, where like their biggest game was their demo disc.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, guys, give me a full game.
Yeah, like Sony is like, VR is this thing. It's in a perpetual race to justify itself, in my opinion. I think the closest they got was when Half-Life Alyx came out. Like that was probably the closest we came to like an actual game justifying VR.
Well, the other problem with VR is that the technology still hasn't caught up with the idea. We keep getting closer and closer each time we attempt it, but it's just it never sits quite right, not only biologically but also just mechanically.
Yeah, because like the biggest problem is movement. It's like we think of VR, it's like, oh, I want to walk around this virtual space. It's like unless you have like an omnidirectional treadmill, which you don't.
Some people
like you're basically limited to a room, or you just move around with a controller or teleport, and it just doesn't feel right.
They had this one game called Riggs that came out on the PlayStation VR, and I played it for about 15 minutes, and then I was incapacitated for about 6 hours, violently puking, because of the motion sickness. You're basically in this mech, like at the end of Aliens, like that Ripley thing, but only it's a sports ball game where you're playing in these mechs to, score touchdowns or like fire it through a hockey net or whatever. And
guys, real quick, we have an invader in the chat. Comics League is rating us. So for that, I had to do that. But yeah, just I don't know. I do like that Nintendo is kind of starting to get on to the remake game, like the remake, like Zelda, Mario RPG, and they've been good. So it's kind of be interesting.
Well, I mean, honestly, out of all the companies that are doing the remake game, Nintendo is the one that would see the most benefit from it, because Nintendo has some of the biggest gems that is not touched in years.
Yeah,
exactly.
Same with Sega. Like Sega and Nintendo, and maybe to a lesser extent Capcom, have like this library of games. They're just begging for a good quality re-release. Like, for me, Golden Sun 1 and 2, being combined into one game.
Out of my mouth. I was about to say that, you old man.
Or on Sega's side, like Shining Force. How cool would it be to get a new Shining Force game? Or even better, Shining Force X Fire Emblem, made by Camelot.
Yep.
Also, you know what I would... wait, Nix, your fan has arrived.
Hello.
No, if I had my druthers, and say if I was, part of a creative, like a creative director or whatever, and I was able to pitch a game, and I worked for Sega, what I would make for a game that is the most horrifically underappreciated game that never made it off the Mega Drive, I would make a new Kid Chameleon, but instead of it being generic helmets, all of the helmets are Sega mascots. So you put on the ninja mask and you're now Joe Musashi from Shinobi. You pick up the sword and you're now Alice Landale from Phantasy Star, and so on. And you each have your own moves and you're in Sega themed. Like, it would be a huge love letter to all of the Sega properties. And the Sonic and All Stars 3D Transformed Racing or whatever did that, and it was absolutely amazing because it was one of those Captain America moments where it's like, oh, I got that reference.
Nix, Jared is calling you out.
It's coming. But no,
that is what she said.
On our list of games that should be remade or given sequels, though, I'm going to push till the end of time, until the day I die. Nintendo, Super Mario Sunshine 2.
Yes.
Electric Boogaloo.
Make it happen. I want it so bad. Everyone, and I mean everyone, hated it when it first came out. And you can't tell me no, because all I ever saw for it was hate everywhere.
Super Mario Sunshine 2. Even more sunshine.
I love that game so much. My niece loves that game so much. It's interesting. It's like the Mario formula updated and done well.
Yeah.
Well, and then Dave just kind of hit upon a masterpiece right here. Oh dear God! Like, imagine like a claymation style Earthbound. Like, all three games. Holy crap!
Well, imagine if they made Super Mario Sunshine cross Splatoon.
That'd be really interesting.
No, okay, wait, Nix. What if they took the graphic engine from the Wind Waker HD and used that for Mario Sunshine?
So like cell shaded.
No. But remember how like the way the Wind Waker HD looked on the Wii U?
It looked
like gorgeous. It looked really freaking good.
It looked gorgeous. Oh my goodness!
I think if you put that graphic, like the lighting techniques they used for Sunshine would look really good. And then Jared would be like, I want a Halo 3 remake. Why? So you beat it again? Yeah, I actually beat Halo 3 for the first time with Jared, so shout out. Nice. Yeah, Mario seasons always use new gimmicks, but they never really impeded the game, honestly.
No.
Mario's such a simple game, so it's hard to mess it up.
Yeah.
Now,
Philips CDI.
Oh dear God.
We don't want to talk about that, do we?
I do not want to play closing door simulator the game.
Yeah.
Oh, Zelda on the CDI. Oh,
yeah.
I'm so hungry. I could eat an Octorok.
The Wand of Gamelon, the Faces of Evil, and then
Zelda's Adventure.
Whatever. Yeah, Zelda's Adventure. Which
you know
what? They were all bad.
I'll give them props for Zelda's Adventure though, because at least it gave us a playable Zelda.
Yeah, that was
Nintendo has never done.
Well, yeah, like that's what I thought the expansion was going, or the DLC was going to be for Breath of the Wild.
Same.
I mean, hell, there is a Zelda game that is begging to be made. Ocarina of Time, Sheik's Quest. Like, basically, imagine a game where you play as Sheik during, like, basically the first half of the game is like before Link wakes up, and then the next half is what Sheik is doing during the events of Ocarina of Time. That would be a cool game.
That would be great. I want to see how Zelda got her abilities as Sheik. Did she train? How long did she train? How did she find the clothes? What's going on?
Yeah.
But I get it. I get why they don't make Zelda the main character, because it's supposed to be a hero versus the dragon story. Mm-hmm. And Zelda's the princess who gets rescued.
So, I want to just kind of talk about this. Like, did you know there was a Wheel of Time PC game?
Yeah, I have it. It's in the Unreal Engine. I see you, Aes Sedai.
Yeah, this is a Wheel of Time PC game right here. So, Jared, here's your game. This game is so bad. I bought it for like Office Depot for like $10 back in like 2005. my God, this game is so terrible. I mean, it's so bad. You can actually
smoke.
What?
You know, the darkness thing that follows you or whatever after a while.
Yeah, from Shadow Logos.
Yeah, just kept killing me. It's like, what? I can't do anything.
Jared, fluff off. See, Jared just wants to harass me. So it's all gravy.
I agree with Dave. The 3D All Stars is great because you've got the first three 3D's Mario games all together. I know this is a very unpopular opinion. This is a hot take, guys. Hot take. I don't like Super Mario 64. I find it basically unplayable.
So, Nyx has been booted from the stream.
Yeah, it's not my favorite either, but yeah. Yeah. You know, they did a Nintendo DS remake of...
I owned it for a while.
The best way to play Super Mario 64 DS is on a 3DS. I'm just saying it.
Yeah,
and playing that game with the circle pad feels so much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only game that gets the game that gets the most use out of 3D All Stars is definitely Mario Sunshine. It's the one me and my niece love the most, so it's the one that gets the most love.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a spectrum. Because 64 is emulation, Sunshine is partial emulation, and then I think Galaxy is basically a port. Oh, Dave, I love you. Suck it, Jared. All right, he's gonna be seething in 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna pay for it on CLD, but yeah, Sharon, what other kind of remake would you like to see?
Well, apart from remakes, actually, something that I would really love to see is we've got the technology now to actually implement other art styles, like what Dave the Impaler was saying with doing claymation. There's a whole bunch of art styles that video games could go into.
Like how with the Link's Awakening remake, they did like the what was the way they did it? Like a shadow box or like a
like little wooden toys.
It was cute.
Yeah.
But
I that's cool.
Such a sad
my
game,
point
though.
is, video games have all seemed to centralize on hyper realism and making the experience quote unquote real. When
it's like there's only 3 art styles.
The point of the medium entirely, which is you can play the various art mediums that exist.
Yeah, it seems like video games nowadays are only 3 art styles. You have hyper realistic, cell shaded, and then pixel art. Like it's just one of those 3.
Yeah, but Okami is one of the best examples of a video game dabbling in an entirely different style of art, a different medium with the.
I mean, look at the 2D AC remakes.
Painting.
Look at the reaction to the 2D AC remakes. I mean, Square Enix is basically just turning those out now. Yet we still just swallow them up because it's such a great way to reinterpret these classic 2D games.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like cell shading is like the ultimate way to make sure your game survives.
Wind Waker still looks great. The original one.
Yeah, it holds up.
Let me show you a game that is literally 24 years old yet still looks amazing, and Chris knows exactly the game I'm about to show. Which coincidentally is probably going to be brought back by a certain company here soon. Actually, they did announce it, so. Oh
yeah.
So yeah, like obviously the resolution, but like just look at the art style. Like that looks great.
That's a lovely art style.
There's a Jet Grind Radio. This was like the first, like it may not be the first game to use cell shading, but it was like the first one to popularize the style. And like let me look up a more recent game. You guys ever heard of Bomb Rush Cyberpunk?
Oh, Bomb Rush. I thought you said Bum Rush.
No, that's what Nick's gonna be doing after after the stream.
No.
And I'm going to get crap for that, but whatever.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, just like look at. All right, here we go. Yeah, like look at that. Like, yeah, you can tell it's better resolution, but like, if you told me this was Jet Grind Radio for the Dreamcast, I would believe you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or
like
how about Psychonauts?
Yeah, or Team Fortress 2.
Yeah, but like, if you put Bomb Rush Cyberpunk with Jet Grind Radio, because Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is a spiritual successor to this game, but like they look almost identical, and that's a compliment. To like like yeah, I don't know. I guess Jet Grind Radio looks like a game that could have come out today.
Yeah,
it
but
does.
And I'm sure, like if I played this game to someone who didn't know, like, and I told them this was Jet Grind Radio, they believe it. Or
I mean, that's fair.
Yes.
I think my main point is that gaming has basically bottlenecked itself into one of 3 or 4 styles, when, quite honestly, it quite literally has the entire whole cloth to play with, and it's just doodling into this one corner.
I mean, not just graphically, but also mechanically. Because like every so often a game comes along that shows just what we can actually do. Like Baldur's Gate 3 is not really a technological innovation, it's more of a gameplay. Like its achievement is in gameplay. Because like basically everything it does, we've been able to do for like I'd say 10 years now.
In gameplay
But like
and
it's
writing,
mechanically,
it's one of the best.
Mechanically, it is highly innovative. You know, and it's I don't know, just like every so often a game comes along that kind of bucks the trend, like Cyberpunk 2077. That game looks like the art style for that is great. It shows that like you can still innovate in hyper realistic settings. Like, what are some games that just like blown you away artistically, or gameplay wise?
Ooh, I have a good one, and I think everyone already knows what it is because I don't shut up about it on Twitter. Majora's Mask. Like, yeah, nowadays you could say, "Oh, it looks terrible," but no, to me, and it's not just the nostalgia talking, but like, anytime I see the graphics, I'm in awe, and I think, wow, we should get this remade. You know,
I mean, Majora's Mask.
It's never been remade before.
I get what you're saying, Nix. I get.
But also, like, I like the mechanics of it. Like the gameplay wise, everyone complains about the whole mechanic of like time. I think it's really cool, and it's pretty innovative for its time because it accounts for the fact that the NPCs only have a certain amount of lines that they can say, and they say them at certain times. And this makes it feel more real to the player because, of course, they're just going to keep saying the same things over and over again. You're going back in time. They haven't said these things
time
before.
Time is a very important thing to that game, both in game and out of game, because you realize this was made in a year. This game was made in a year, kind of on a dare. And I agree with Dave the Impaler. Like Majora's Mask art style, Majora's Mask is basically a masterclass in both mood and like setting, atmosphere. Like the sense of dread you get from that game it inspired so many other games. Like seriously.
It's inspired a lot of artists from what I've seen too, and it inspires me as a writer because, oh god, I can't even explain it. But like, I don't know. Up to that point, I had never seen any other games utilize time in such a way like Majora's Mask had. I don't know.
Absolutely. It creates a unique identity of suspense because your game over condition is more likely to be defined by by the traditional game over things. You drown, you lose your life, but then you've got that extra of if you don't complete a certain thing within a certain time frame, it's game over. And even if you manage to do that and you run out of time, so you reset the condition, the slate swiped clean. So it's basically nonstop tension all the time as you're running around trying to do as much as you can.
And everyone's like, "Oh, you can we do this in one loop?" No, you can't. It's physically impossible.
Like, look at this. Look at this. Like, come on.
You look at that and tell me that isn't artistically impressive.
They were definitely going for that horror angle for that.
I will come into your house at 3 a.m. and slap you if you try.
You've met a terrible fate, haven't you? Yeah, how crazy.
Well, what about the 3DS remake?
That never happened. What are you talking about? They talked about it for so long, but they just never went through with it.
So, next, Chris, what do you think about this comment?
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, definitely some Twin Peaks energy. But yeah, I don't know. Like, gaming is in a weird place right now. I don't think gaming is dying. It's just
it's at a crossroads.
To me, it's very clear that like the game companies want gaming to go a certain way, and audiences kind of want it to go a different way.
Yeah, gaming is at a crossroads, and it's at a point where it needs to define itself or be lost.
Well, I know I've lost. Oh, sorry. I know I've lost a lot of interest in gaming. I've actually found myself like I thought I was just growing out of gaming or losing interest in the hobby altogether until I discovered emulation, where I was like, why am I enjoying these games that are not technologically inferior by quite a bit, or games that were just bite-sized little nuggets compared to these long drawn out walking simulators or these always online multiplayer like
and I don't shooters, all the shooters.
Yeah, everything is
I'm the same way. Like, there's so many great games. Like, that's why I sold my Switch, because I wasn't playing it. It sat untouched for months. Yep. And then I got a Steam Deck and I play that a lot. Yep. And the thing is, like, I still buy games. Like, for example, have you heard about the remaster of Star Wars Dark Forces by Night Dive?
Oh.
No. Like, have you heard about it, Chris?
No. So they remade the.
So Night Dive, like they are a remastering powerhouse.
Nice.
Like they've been doing all these remasters of like Turok and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing Dark Forces. They're doing it in like their Kex engine and whatnot, Oh yeah. I'm pulling it up right now. All right. And it comes out next month, and I am so excited for it. I can't believe you hadn't heard about it.
Yeah, well, I kind of lost interest in Star Wars, but definitely a fan of these.
Well, I think it's also telling that, because I'm also in the same group as you and Chris, Nick, in that when it comes to the new games, there's maybe a handful
that I'm
particularly interested in.
Yeah.
But if I'm playing video games, it's usually either remasters of games I played long ago or the actual old games themselves.
Chris, look at this. They even redid the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Like, look how good that looks.
Oh, they're still using raster sprites. Nice.
Yeah, but they definitely redrew. You can tell they redrew.
Yeah.
Redrew all the sprites.
It's higher resolution sprites.
See, this is what I like about Night Dive when they do these remasters. It's like they make it look great, but like they still keep the spirit of the game.
Mon Mothma, nice.
But yeah, like look at how good that looks, Yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. Like the other game that I'm really looking forward to is the Suikoden 1 and 2 remake. You heard about that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that game looks really good. Like they've redone a lot of the particle effects and whatnot. Yeah, there's been a lot of really good Switch games. But like Nintendo's kind of like in this holding pattern kind of thing because it's obvious the Switch 2 is coming out next year. It is obvious. With all the rumors, everything kind of where it's going, it's very clear it's coming out this year actually. It's just I don't know. I suspect the earliest we'll get an announcement is probably the February Direct. They usually do a February Direct, and if they're going to release the Switch in like May, like what they did with the Switch 1, kind of like get the early adopters out of the way and get some games out around Christmas, which was actually like that was really smart of the Switch to do that back then.
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing that helped the Switch was it was a Breath of the Wild machine for like the first 3 months. But that's fine.
Yep.
Breath of the Wild.
Killer app right there.
Breath of the Wild.
So Nintendo needs to have a killer app.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is Tears of the Kingdom already came out, so they're not going to be able to pull that out. Tears of the Kingdom could have been the killer app, but
Metroid Prime 4.
Honestly, that's why I think that the killer app might be is the new Metroid Prime because they've been.
I don't know because like
so long.
Tears of the Kingdom was a game you played for 100 hours. Metroid is a game you play for like 20 hours at most. I don't know if you can keep the engagement up, but like, what other killer app do you think they could do for Nintendo? What other Nintendo thing has a pull?
A new Super Mario Brothers game.
I mean, they had Mario Odyssey out at the same time as Breath of the Wild. But I don't know, like. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like all the other franchises they could do, like because their big two are Mario and Zelda, and then maybe Pokemon. But I don't know. But it'll be interesting for sure. I think so.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think the landscape is changing as well. What I worry about is if Nintendo saw dollar signs with their awful Nintendo online service and they start going digital only or going in a direction similar to what the West is going.
Well, another killer app that they could have is we know that they're releasing Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Everybody loves that. So if they do with the Switch 1, with the Switch 2, what they did with the Switch 1 with Breath of the Wild, and they basically release Thousand-Year Door for both, but offer obvious, improvements for the Switch 2, that would definitely be a pretty big system seller.
Well, here's the thing. There are plenty of GameCube titles that they can mine for like this stuff, like Custom Robo, Eternal Dark. Like imagine Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem gets a remaster.
The Luigi's Mansion trilogy.
Yeah, that would be a really good one too.
Needs it.
The first game especially needs it. It's great, but like, it needs a glow up.
Yeah, it does.
I love you, Luigi's Mansion, but geez.
F-Zero GX desperately needs a remaster. Trying to think of like what other GameCube games do you think? Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader, maybe.
I mean, here, let me pop into my list.
And I could definitely like imagine Mad World. Maybe. I'm just trying to think of games that could, from the Wii or the GameCube they could bring over. I mean, obviously they need to bring over Twilight Princess and Wind Waker at some point.
Baten Kaitos Origins.
Actually, they just released a remaster of that one, which I think didn't they botch that? Like they censored it to somewhere or whatever.
Oh, really yeah, that's a good way to kill it.
Bomberman Jetters, which was actually really, really good, didn't get enough attention on the GameCube. I mean, like you said, Custom Robo would have also been a really good one. Ooh, Crash Tag Team Racing and Crash Nitro Kart would also be a really welcome addition.
They are remade. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They actually did a pretty good job. But
they're awesome.
But the problem is they pulled like this stunt that a lot of game companies have been doing, where it's like they don't have their DLC at launch, and then they get all like the goodwill and the reviews, and then 6 months later they plop in the DLC. Like, oh, I know you guys are mad, but we don't care. You've already bought the game.
Yep.
I mean, they also have 2 Fire Emblem games that were really, really big, especially Path of Radiance, that has essentially gone almost extinct as a game physically.
What I would like to see is what they attempted and kind of failed at, which was, so they made the 3DS was like the Fire Emblem console.
Well, yeah, the series is almost dead. I think it was until like one of the games in the
Awakening.
Awakening, basically.
Awakening that revived it.
Yeah, I guess you could say Awakening rekindled Fire Emblem.
Well, they made a game called Echoes of Valentia, which is a remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, which was like Gaiden just means side story, like little cheapo whatever. But they expanded upon it and made this huge like remake, and it was freaking amazing. What I would love to see is if they made Fire Emblem Anthology, which was an exploration of every Fire Emblem game remade.
That would have been awesome.
See, the thing is, I don't see the problem is Fire Emblem hit gold with 3 houses, and then they just pretty much just went back to the standard Fire Emblem formula. Like I actually, my first Fire Emblem game was 3 houses, and I loved it. But the problem is, right after that, they just went right back to their standard formula, and people just like didn't care about Fire Emblem anymore. If they would have doubled down on like the 3 houses kind of brand of Fire Emblem, I think Fire Emblem could have been as big as Animal Crossing, or like it could have been a bigger franchise now.
Unfortunately, they shoehorned in a Harry Potter game into Fire Emblem,
and it kind of worked. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of worked.
But it didn't keep the Fire Emblem fans, and I know they're not like the biggest niche or whatever, but it's like at that point, just make a different game, like because they have all of the cool like.
It didn't have the Fire Emblem fans, but it brought in everyone else.
Yeah, and if they would have made like another series, you know what I mean? If they called it like Suikoden Schools or something, you know what I mean? And just leverage that entire like school thing, then yeah, that would have made gangbusters. But the problem is they kind of like they used a brand that wasn't that genre. So it's like it kind of turned people off who weren't Fire Emblem fans. And then it turned people off who were Fire Emblem fans. You know what I mean? It like if it was more of a like if they leveraged an IP that was a little more conducive to that kind of gameplay, then
I fall into the non-Fire Emblem camp. It's like I came in through 3 houses, loved it, and then I saw what they're doing with Awakening. Like, oh, this has nothing of what I love from 3 houses. I'm just
but if you imagine if you hated the previous Fire Emblem games, you would have never given this one a chance. You're like, oh, more Fire Emblem? So it kind of turned off both markets. Like, just get an IP that's better suited. Like, that's why they course corrected and they went back with that Fire Emblem Engage. They went back to the tried and true formula. The only problem is there's not enough fans out there of SRPGs, so they ended up losing money.
Yeah,
that's why I think like Shining Force needs to make a comeback. Like honestly, like they should have done a Shining Force game during the 3DS era. Like imagine a dungeon, like because like they had Etrian's Odyssey on the 3DS, and it was great. It was perfect. Like dungeon crawlers were perfect for the 3DS. And like Etrian Odyssey proved you could have done Shining Force, like Shining into the Darkness. The dungeon crawler variant of Shining. Like imagine Shining in the Dark, like a Shining in the Darkness game. Or just port Shining of the Holy Ark for the Saturn and put up-res that game and put it on the 3DS. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. Well, have you seen
what?
They made a mobile Shining Force game that never left Japan. You can find the trailer on YouTube. And I saw that and it got my hopes up. And then they're like, yeah, it didn't test well in the Japanese markets. So we decided not to pursue our North American launch. And I was just like, you son of a, you just blue balled me.
Yeah.
But like the graphics look amazing too.
Yeah. Also, here's Shining of the Holy Ark for Saturn. And you can tell these people would go on to make Golden Sun. You looking at this, you could the art style is so similar.
I mean, hey, there's Ivan.
Camelot made this. Camelot.
I mean, literally, that was Ivan right there on the screen, basically.
Yeah, and the font is the same. The way they draw, and stuff. Yeah, and the graphic style looks I don't know.
There's also Lord of the Rings, The Third Age, which desperately needs to be revisited because it was a fairly.
You want to talk about Lord of the Rings games? They need to do a remake of Lord of the Rings: Two Towers and Return of the King. That is childhood for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if they did Return of the King remastered. It's kind of licensing hell. Imagine WB Games, because EA did them. They'd have to work with WB. But imagine they actually re-released Return of the King.
Yeah, and there's also where was it? I just had it. Metroid Prime 2, because that would also fly off shelves like nobody's.
Apparently, from what I've heard, kind of from the rumor mill, is they're going to release 2 and 3, but they're not going to be as graphically enhanced. Jared, get the F off the stream right now. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm not even going to look up footage of that. Jared, that is blasphemy. That is heresy. Get the frick off of me. This guy he just woke up and chose violence. I don't know what's going on with him.
Both the Pokemon Coliseum games would also be really nice.
Yeah, for sure. Pokemon TV. Oh, that's not gonna happen, but it does as a troll.
I would love for that to happen. I genuinely, unironically like that game. It was very cute.
Go kiss your Super Wonder Dolls, Jared.
Jesus.
You know what trilogy of games that only came out on the GameCube that I would love to see redone?
What?
The Scooby-Doo games.
Yes!
Unmasked, and especially Night of 100 Frights.
Yes! I love Scooby.
Oh, imagine this in modern day. Hey, you Pikachu.
Oh, with the technology.
That was such a weird game.
With the technology of these days, it could be done a lot better because, it was doable back when it first came out. It just wasn't very good.
Yeah. Is that the one where you throw the ball?
No,
that was the one where you had the microphone. It was basically Nintendo Seaman.
You basically talk to Pikachu, and it's like a 50-50 shot if he'll actually listen to you.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's. I am convinced. I am convinced they only made it because of Seaman.
Get back there, you little son of a.
Also, I'll name drop.
Hey Pikachu, this. Why don't you sound like Leonard Nimoy?
I'll name drop this. The TMNT series that came out on the GameCube that basically allowed you to play the first 3 seasons of the TMNT 2003 show.
That was good.
There's a lot of licensed games that are way better than they have any right to be, and they very rarely get released. I'm surprised. I think the only reason Battle for Bikini Bottom getting remade was just such a weird thing.
I'm not gonna look that gift horse in the mouth. I have it. I've played it for gobs of hours. It's just wonderful.
What other licensed games do you think deserve? Because GoldenEye eventually came out. What other licensed games do you think kind of deserve a good remake? Because remember, a lot of these licensed games are harder to get clearance for. We mentioned Return of the King, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Because that was childhood for a lot of people.
The Simpsons Hit and Run and Road Rage.
Oh my God, yes. Hit and Run. Definitely. That one has a lot of it.
Screw the last level of it.
Yeah, they might.
Jared is a masochist.
Oh yeah, Jared has a great idea. Jared,
that's the worst game ever made.
I am going to personally ask Warner Brothers to remake Super Mario 64, and then I am going to send you one of 2 copies. And I say 2 copies because I know you're going to destroy one of them.
There is actually the Batman. What was it called? Something Zinzu.
Oh yeah, that one was like good because the animated series. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a beat 'em up. It was actually kind of fun. I remember liking it. Not super much, but like it was enjoyable.
I'll tell you one remake that came out that actually kind of surprised me. The fact that they remade the Gargoyles game for the Genesis. That kind of came out of left field. But sorry. The only reason is because Jared actually mentioned, what about the 007 games for the PS2, like 007 Nightfire or Everything Is Nothing?
Yeah.
Or like GoldenEye Rogue Agent. Those deserve it. Oh my god, I love you guys so much. Like seriously, you guys are awesome. Let's see here. Sharon, any other licensed game you can think of?
Well, I think honestly, Jared,
Jack, we're not on Comics League right now. Dave, you are on the thickest ice possible. Please continue. All right, Sarah, sorry, Sharon, continue.
Samurai Jack, The Shadow of Aku.
Ooh.
That was on the GameCube.
Oh, okay. One of the last games. I think that was the last, or one of the last ones where Mako voiced Aku.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, because Mako voiced Iroh, but he died halfway the series, and they had to replace his voice actor.
Yeah.
Like I think the last one of the last things he did for Avatar was the Tales of Iroh. Because that's actually him singing "Leaves from the Vine." And then because the end of the episode, hey, my sketchbook, we're just kind of talking about games we want to get remastered.
It said in loving memory.
Hey, speaking of Avatar, have you guys seen the trailer for the live action?
I think the casting looks pretty decent.
Oh,
I gotta say, I think Netflix has learned their lesson because, I was actually watching a video where the voice actress for Toph was reacting to the trailer, and she kind of said something, and it's the way she said it that kind of moved me a little bit. Like she said, there's changes happening, and I like the way she framed it to where this is a separate thing. The original's not going anywhere. This is not trying to replace the original. It's just another thing. It's another version of it. And they're and I love that framing. Because you're not trying to replace the original. You're just doing your own thing. So when you pitch it like that, I'm more tolerant for changes. You know what I'm saying?
And it's funny that you mentioned that.
It shows a respect to the original. Like they have shown so much respect to the original. Like the way they talk about Avatar and the way they talk about the show in tandem is we're doing our version of the show. I'm sorry, I was going to repeat myself, but go ahead.
I was about to say it's funny that you mentioned that, but there is also the licensed games for Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Burning Earth that allow you to play the first 2 seasons.
Nice. Are those any good?
Airbender. And one last thing that I'd love to see, because this is a joint between Sony and Sega that has never been touched, which is Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg.
Oh, dude, that gets fun as hell.
Yeah.
So, my sketchbook kind of oh my god, what I would not give. Imagine a Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2 remake, like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Imagine they just did a remake of Underground 1 and 2 in the modern engine. I think the closest we came to an Underground was Need for Speed Heat. Imagine Underground, but kind of like the art style of Heat. Just take all my money. Oh my god! There's a lot of those classic. I would love for a Assassin's Creed 4, imagine Assassin's Creed 4 but modern Ubisoft engine.
Yeah,
Chris, as a person who has contributed to that game, what do you think?
Honestly, Assassin's Creed 4 isn't an Assassin's Creed game. Just call it Sid Meier's Pirates.
I mean, that's pretty much the like. It's not a very good Assassin's Creed game, but it's a great pirate game.
Oh my god, is it?
The consensus.
Yeah, the ocean, the graphics on the water and everything. Like when I first saw that, my jaw hit the floor.
Oh my god! He has invoked Sonic Q. Oh dear God! Why did you do that, bro? Why did you do that?
How could you?
Oh my god! But yeah, that game is so good. So, what was it like working on Assassin's Creed 4?
Well, I didn't actually work on AC4. I worked on various parts of other games. In fact, the one that everybody hates that came after that. And yeah, after this past week of seeing some seriously talented people losing their jobs, I wouldn't wish anybody to work in that industry. Guys, get out while you can.
Sharon, I hear you. Thank you for being here. Look forward to see you on the show again.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have some more time next week to pop on and hang out for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. See you later, man.
All right,
have a good one, man.
On the flip.
So, Chris, since you did work on AC3, did you ever work on the DLC, The Tyranny of King George?
No. I didn't work on AC3. I talked to people and I had coworkers that worked on AC3, but
I think you worked on AC2, right?
No, I worked on pretty much the games that came after that and some that aren't even released. And I don't even know if I'm supposed to publicly talk about them, but I think they announced them anyways. So,
which ones did you work on? Let's just go from there.
That's the thing with Ubisoft. There is no you worked on this game. They have this evergreen development where you work on parts of games and you don't know which parts are which until, oh, hey, I worked on that, or your name is in the credit on this game.
Okay, which games did you recognize your parts in? I'm trying to zero something in.
Well, I think you can find some of it in some mobile games currently. I know there's got to be something that I did with Unity. The Sengoku one.
Did you make the face models for Unity?
No, I'm not a. You mean the lack there? I don't think anybody did. But
no. That's a joke. That was a joke. I think it's all compartmentalized. Would you say so,
dude? It's awful. It is a Charlie Foxtrot where we're on the phone, or at the time when I was working. This was like 10 years ago. We're on like the speakerphone or Skype or whatever it is, talking with the narrative team, and these guys have the thickest French accents. And you're like. They're like, we did not want the pizza vide dans notre amico. We want to
baguette.
Yeah, I'm like, oh god.
Generic fish wizard here. Oh.
What the original vision for Assassin's Creed was kind of left when they fired Patrice Deslitz twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do not have, as far as I'm concerned, there's only three Assassin's Creed games: Assassin's Creed 2. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and Assassin's Creed Revelation. And that's basically the Ezio trilogy. And everything they've tried to rekindle since then has either been a colossal disaster, in my opinion, or has not been an Assassin's Creed in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, Odyssey and Origins was probably the most recent height of the series. And those are basically just God of War games, basically.
Yeah, well, the whole point of Assassin's Creed was that we actually prided ourselves that we had historical accuracy. Like when a certain group of people who invaded Europe burned down the Cathedral of Notre Dame, they actually, the people who were restoring or trying to restore the cathedral actually consulted Ubisoft because we had all of the architectural designs and everything because we were trying to replicate it. In Assassin's Creed 2, El Duomo, that Florence cathedral, that is a 1-for-1. That is a faithful replication of actual Italian Renaissance architecture.
I actually remember when the Notre Dame fire happened, Ubisoft actually gave away Assassin's Creed Unity, but you had to sign up to their online service or something to get it.
Jeez.
It was a good deed wrapped in poison, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, but good for them that it was like 1-to-1 accuracy, but also, oh no.
Yeah.
I kind of want to shift gears a little bit here. So, I need to get out of my house. So I kind of went to the library and I was like bugging some people. And like, everyone just keeps saying, comics are dying, comics are dying. Nobody cares about comics anymore. And my counter is the passion is still there, even among the youth. You know, even among younger people, the passion for the format is there. It's just manga is the only format that is giving them what they want. And I literally just ran into a kid today. He had to have been like high school age. He's making his own manga. And like he had pages and pages of it. And like the panel, like his panel layouts were like amazing. Like the story flow was really good. Like this kid actually had the touch. You know, and he's probably going to go places. And he was telling me this whole story, and it was actually kind of good, to be honest. And this kid was high school, and he's making his own comic. So that to me just reaffirmed it's this stuff isn't dying. It's just companies aren't putting out products that people want. Like this is like I'm going to say this over and over again. Just watch, okay? You're going to start to see companies start to put out, like they realize all this crap, all this sludge they've been putting out is not selling. The investor money is running out. So they're going to start to give people what they want. Like you're seeing it with Disney. You know, look at Daredevil Born Again. Suddenly the Netflix is canon. Karen and Foggy are now on the show. After like years of basically them being like, oh, they're not coming back. And then basically implying, oh, this is going to be a variant of Daredevil, you know. But now it's the Netflix is canon. Like I'm sorry, but Disney is kind of getting me. Like, I'm actually kind of excited for Born Again. There's rumors of bringing the Bullseye actor back. Like, this might actually be the season 4 we wanted. They're just not going to call it season 4 for money reasons. Fine, whatever. But like, the passion is there. Like it's like with Star Wars, you know. We were all hated Star Wars so much that the Mandalorian came out, and we all were Star Wars fans again. Luke Skywalker scene happened, and it was a cultural moment. Okay, the passion is still there. It's just buried under mountains of cynicism. Okay, like Chris, let me ask you a question. Let's say Disney released let's say a CG movie, okay, or an animated movie, you know, where Luke Skywalker is building the Jedi Order. It's voiced by Mark Hamill. They have Carrie Fisher's daughter voice Leia, and then like Harrison Ford comes back and voices Han Solo, okay, you know, and they actually get their reunion. You know what I'm saying? And it's actually good. They actually do all the stuff with the characters. How would that make you feel? Like they actually make a good animated Star Wars movie and they do all that stuff.
I know you're not gonna like my answer, but it's too late. It's dead. You lost me as a customer.
I don't know
anymore. I don't care. Like they could have the greatest thing since sliced bread. Disney has already told me to go after myself, so I'm out. I don't care anymore. Like Disney is what churned me.
And that's kind of the problem, is as much as I want to say that you would see it in turn, deep down I know you're right. As much as I want to like tell you what your opinion is going to be, I know you're right. And there are so many people like you. And yeah, there's a lot of people like me who don't want anything to do with modern Star Wars, but they still have like deep down they have that tiny little flame that still exists, that's just hoping it comes back, ready to be reignited again. There's people of both of our flavors. So the problem is there's a lot more of you than there are of me.
Well, it's like in business world, we have a no sale and a churn, and it's always better to do a no sale than it is to do a churn. a no sale is a customer is not interested in your product and they don't buy it. They say this isn't for me and they move on. No hard feelings, no whatever. They're just not interested. A churn is a customer who bought your product, was unsatisfied with your product, and then either refunded or attempted to or something, and is now spreading negative information about your company and about your product. And Disney has generated a lot of churn in the last like 5-10 years.
Yeah. Also, Keeley is being vicious. Yeah, and like Dave is right. Like, the reason the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian were able to be so good is because they didn't care. You know, it was just like, as soon as it got popular, and Kathleen Kennedy, the Eye of Sauron, oh my god, that is such a visual. Correct visual. As soon as she put her attention on it, like, it just went dead.
Yeah.
Because basically they pushed Favreau out. Like, you notice how for season 3, they like Favreau never even mentioned him. Like, I don't even think he was involved with season 3. It was Filoni's show, and that's the problem is people like to think of Filoni as like, oh, he's the heir to George Lucas. Filoni's kind of a hack. Like, all of his shows are just like, oh, I'm going to bring over all my characters. You know, like, oh, Ahsoka, the Ahsoka show is basically just Rebel season whatever. And it's just, Filoni is good for animation, but like his live action stuff leaves a lot to be desired. And plus, Filoni is also, I feel like he's one of those writers that kind of needs people to tell him to shut, like he needs, like, he's a lot more like George Lucas than we realize. He needs people to tell him to shut the F up, to, you know, kind of like rein him in. Like, I know the popular narrative is Marshall Lucas wrote Star Wars. That's not true. Without Marshall Lucas, Star Wars would have been a lot worse. That's the actual truth. She didn't write Star Wars, but she made it a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, she edited it.
Well, there were 2 other editors as well, mind you, and she was only on there for like part of the time, but she was very instrumental. Oh my freaking god! So, like, is there anything like that excites you guys nowadays of stuff coming out, like Nick's, other than the Princess Peach game? Like, what excites you?
Well, I want to say new Scooby-Doo stuff, but honestly, that train's like left the station. I can't get excited for new Scooby-Doo things because it's all kind of meh these days. I'm really sad about that, but
feels like the last good Scooby-Doo was Mystery Incorporated, and that was like 2013.
Yeah, and it was good, but it wasn't like, I don't know. There was a lot of missteps, specifically with Velma, that I just could not ignore.
And Mystery Incorporated?
Yeah. Well, they made her very unlikable to me. Like,
yeah, I think that was kind of the start of like everyone just focusing on, because like it feels like in the past like 20 years, everyone's kind of been focusing on Velma as like, because like when Scooby-Doo first came out, Daphne was the eye candy. Like, he was very clearly designed to be the eye candy. But it seems like everyone just kind of pushes aside Daphne and goes for Velma. Because Velma is like the cute nerd. And yeah.
But like, her relationship with Shaggy just left a really bad taste in my mouth because she was kind of like outright abusive. Like, there's this one scene where they're in a graveyard looking for this ghoul or whatever, and he doesn't want to go to a dance with her because he wants to just stay home and hang out with Scooby for once. And she's like, oh, you can tell me if you don't want to go. I promise I won't get mad. Then throws a tantrum and starts kicking gravestones until he agrees to go with her. And then the creator tried to come out later and was like, oh yeah, that was because, you know, I want to kind of subtly hint that she was a lesbian, that her relationship with Shaggy wasn't good for her. No, I think she's just a terrible person.
Yeah.
That is such retconning. Yeah, like those Cartoon Network movies were really good. I need to go back and rewatch them, like Zombie Island, and then like
Zombie Island is peak Scooby-Doo.
The New England one is really good as well. Well, the Hex
Oh
Girls
yeah, Witch's Ghost. Oh, I love that. Good memories. But
yeah.
What I'm excited for now, they haven't even really announced anything.
Also, Dave, yes.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where they take Zelda. Like, what's the direction new Zelda games are going to go in?
Like, I actually wouldn't mind. I actually wouldn't mind a Zelda game. I think we're kind of due for one. You know.
Are. After Tears of the Kingdom,
Hex Girls are peak.
Yes.
Oh, Nick, say after the show, I got a video I want to show you that's going to make you very happy.
Okay.
But yeah.
I want to see where they take Zelda. I want to see whatever new Mario games come out. I'm really excited to. Sad to say, but I think my biggest what I'm looking forward to the most is mostly Nintendo related. Yeah, I'm also really excited for that new Zelda movie that's gonna come out someday, allegedly.
Yeah, I think Zelda, Legend of Zelda is one of those movies where, like, yeah, they can do live action. Please don't hire Tom Holland as Link. Please, for the love of God. Please don't.
If you do, I will show up at your house at 3 a.m. and stab you.
She'll do it. She'll do it too. I have the scars that prove it.
But like, Zelda's one of those things for me. Like, I've said this before quite a bit on Twitter, but Zelda, Majora's Mask particular, is a comfort game for me. Like, it's my depression game. That's the game I play when I feel, down because this is happening or that's happening, and I go and I play it, and I don't know, everything just kind of feels right in the world.
Yeah.
I could talk about it for hours.
Chris, what are some of your comfort games?
Comfort games. That's a.
For me, I always seem to kind of go back to like Pokemon Red and Blue. I literally play those games like twice a year, or at least once a year, kind of thing, because it's like I know, like it's like, all right, I know these Pokemon here, these Pokemon here. And it's just a lot of fun to kind of plan it out as you go along, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like oddly enough, like I found that like the dumb throwaway games that aren't even really like games, I seem to be gravitating towards. Like, remember Audio Surf?
Okay.
Or even back before I had to give away my my drum rocker, I used to go to Rock Band because it's meditative. It's not.
Oh, we were talking about meditative. The Game Boy version of Tetris.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I can just dive into that, and it's just nice, honestly.
Yeah, hours disappear.
And I gotta say, No Man's Sky is very relaxing. Like, that game, like it kind of has like that space synthwave aesthetic, like with the music and like the visuals. It kind of just has like this, like there's always like the hum of like everything around it, and then just like kind of like the soft synthy kind of tones going on it, or even like when like Earth like systems fail, like even the voice lines, they don't interrupt. It's fun.
Yeah, very
Black River Kai, what you talking about? What's boring?
Yeah, honestly, like the exciting games, I generally don't go to for comfort. Like, it's weird. I'll like, I haven't bought games in a while because I don't really like most modern games. But like, I'll buy a game and it honestly stresses me out. Like, games kind of stress me out, and
I wait for games to go on sale. Like,
yeah,
I always love. Like, the Steam sales are great. I always kind of pick up a few games every sale, when they're like 70% off or some stuff like that. Like, I'm not gonna buy Final Fantasy VII at $60, but if it goes down to like 30 or 20, then maybe.
Yeah, I bought Mortal Kombat X and the complete Mortal Kombat XL and Mortal Kombat 11 for $5 each on Steam.
Nice. Oh, what's even crazier is during the winter sale, they had Star Wars Squadrons for $2.
Oh,
that is insane.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, and yeah, Super Nintendo games. I don't know what it is about a lot of those games, but they just kind of have like this kind of relaxing quality, like Link to the Past, Chrono Trigger. Oh my god, like that game. Oh, that I need to do a full playthrough of the game at some point. But like the music and the gameplay, it's just so nice.
Yeah, the SNES had like an insanely good like synthesizer for instruments.
Oh,
like,
you want to know why?
Was that?
Do you want to know who designed the sound chip for the Super Nintendo?
Who's that?
Ken Kutaragi.
What, Sega Ken Kutaragi?
No, Mr. PlayStation.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Literally, it was literally like Ken Kutaragi designed that sound chip, and he's the father of the PlayStation. He's the guy who basically helped develop the PlayStation. And
Ridge Racer.
Remember that?
Yeah, giant enemy crabs.
Oh my god!
But like honestly, to this day, like was it Donkey Kong Country's Aquatic Ambience and what is it Donkey Kong Country 2's was it like Pricker Bush something or other, like the
reason why the Super Nintendo chips sounded so good is most chips of those days were basically synthesizer chips. Okay, like the Sega Genesis used FM synthesis for its stuff, and like that's why it has that signature sound. Versus the Super Nintendo sound chip was sample based, like short audio clips and whatnot. And so you could actually there was a standard library, but you could load in your own sample library for these games. Like Rare used a lot of their own samples, and a lot of other companies did as well. And that is a big reason why the Super Nintendo chip sounded so freaking good, is because it had a more modern kind of samples and trackers. It was easier for musicians to understand because it was closer to what they were used to, and versus like with the FM synthesis, you actually had to know how to get a good FM sound, because like with the Sega Genesis, you could get a good sound out of it. Like there are plenty of good Sega Genesis soundtracks, but like most people didn't. That's why a lot of Sega music, it just like sounds like farts.
Yeah, it's all tinny and everything. Yeah.
But when the Sega, all right, talk for a second. I'm gonna look something up. Show you.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I remember when Mortal Kombat, the most hated version of Mortal Kombat, the censored one, came out for the SNES, and it had a better sound system than the actual game in the arcade. People are like, wait a minute, why does this music sound better on the SNES than it does in the arcade version? Something's wrong here.
All right, I want to play something for you. Okay, this is Super Metroid music remix for Super Genesis.
Oh yeah, listen to how tinny that is.
But it sounds good though.
I want to hear that.
That beeping was giving me anxiety.
Yeah. See, it sounds like farts.
But it still sounds good though,
But it sounds like a Genesis. Like, you know what I mean? I could, if somebody just played that song for me, I'd say, yeah, that came from a Genesis synthesizer or a Genesis sound card.
But what I'm saying is, they were like, those people were kind of using the Genesis. They were getting more oomph out of it. Like, yes, it sounds like a Genesis, but it still sounds pretty good,
Yeah, who's the musician that did the Streets of Rage games? Like, that is insane.
Yeah, he's that guy's I know what you're talking about.
Is it Yu Koshiro or whatever?
Yeah, Koshiro. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy knew what he was doing on a on the Genesis hardware, because it doesn't sound. You know, the thing that sucked about the Genesis was in its later iterations, the sound got worse because the Genesis Model 2 had a worse sound chip, and games actually started sounding worse on newer hardware. Yeah, that's like rave music.
Yeah. Like seriously, like you can get good audio from it, but you just have to work on it.
Yeah.
You know, like that is Sega Genesis music, and that like that rivals Super Nintendo music, honestly. But but that's kind of the problem is even the best of Sega Genesis music, you know, 338's2, it's still only like it doesn't like it only matches Super Nintendo music, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It always kind of boggles my mind. Like you're playing Super Metroid, and it's like the last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace. Like not only do they have that sound sample, it sounds so clear.
Yeah, well, if you heard, so when the Sega Genesis first launched, a pack-in game that came with it was actually Altered Beast, and the music.
Rise from your grave.
Yeah, if you listen to the voice sample in Altered Beast and then compare it to later released games, like you know, or you know, the garbled like it was just awful when they ported Street Fighter to it. But like the voice sounded clearer in Altered Beast, a launch title, than it did in later games on the system, and it blows my mind why. The same thing with Golden Axe. Golden Axe was a launch title, and it actually sampled, like it got sued. It sampled sound files from Conan the Barbarian and was it First Blood, where David Caruso dies. He's like, yeah, like they actually had to change the sound file. Like there are like early, like was it early builds or whatever that have the oh god, and you can hear it in the arcade.
I mean, Sega was like doing a lot of those kind of shenanigans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember like some of the Dude, I was literally just pulling that up.
Yes. You got Batman. You got Spider-Man.
He's literally fighting Spider-Man. I'm just turning off that audio.
Yeah.
So they didn't have the license for this. They actually did get the license later. But that's just Spider-Man. Like that's not even trying to hide it. Like
nope.
And why does he turn into
Batman?
Like this?
What's up?
Then imagine if Spider-Man actually fought criminals like this.
Yeah.
I mean, he has fought ninjas before, so.
No, but I mean, like, just full body coming down on his web every so often.
Yeah, like he looks like a yo-yo.
How insane would it be if, like, you're just playing Shinobi and, like, all of a sudden,
and now he's
like,
Batman.
Oh, that's literally Batman. Like, hey, Death Wish.
Hey.
Oh, and that's not even the worst of it. Like, you know, you can fight Godzilla in this game, right?
Yeah.
Batman, if he could actually use his cape to fly.
Yeah.
Like, this game is such copyright infringement. They got in so much trouble for this.
Yeah, Rambo is actually in the level leading up to that point, too. He's got a flamethrower. And then there's a Terminator boss who turns into the Incredible Hulk.
Nice.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah.
That is so insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, Terminator. Yeah, you said it. It's like Terminator enemies. And you can fight the Hulk. I got the video right here. It's just so so insane. Like I don't know how they did that. Like he turned into Batman Zenner. Yeah.
Wow, he's just beating that boss.
There's Krang.
Yeah. Curse you, Shredder! There's the Terminator.
Like,
turns into Hulk.
And then he turns into Hulk. Like, that's so insane.
What? No, it's clearly not the Hulk. The Hulk's never had 6 shades like that.
Fair enough.
This is original character. Do not steal.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Is that Sonichu? Joe Musashi versus Sonichu.
All right. So you ready for the best part?
Gojira.
That's Godzilla.
He's just minus his dorsal spikes.
How insane is that? How freaking insane is that?
Like,
they got in so much trouble for this game.
Them. Yeah, if you emulate this, try to find all 3 of the different builds, because the final build, or the one that they released after they got sued, it's a giant mecha Godzilla instead. It's like a skeletal robot thing. And yeah, Batman isn't there anymore. It's like a demon. Looks like Devilman instead.
Yeah, because like they actually did get the license for Spider-Man. So like the Spider-Man boss was actually legal for a little bit, but like by the time re-releases came about, the license had expired.
Yep. So there's 3 different builds of it: the re-release, the original, and then the we got sued and we got to change some of the stuff.
Yeah. So like, yeah, we're talking about like Palworld. That's a great kind of way to bring it back into Palworld. Like, fact is, if Nintendo was going to sue them, they would have done it already. That is a fact.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I do think Nintendo is playing Palworld, and they probably will take some lessons from it, because this game obviously had an impact. I think it was either you or someone else said, so many people. This is basically just a result of people who love Pokemon who wanted to get better, and it's like giving a person a glass of ice water in hell.
Yeah.
No, even better. Let's say you're in hell, and you offer someone a cold glass of piss water. You'll chug that piss water, and it'll be the best thing you ever tasted. I know. Sorry for that, like vulgar display. But like, yeah, let's wrap this thing up. Nix, any last words you want to say?
Nintendo, give the people what they want.
I know, right?
Come on. You know what we want.
You wanna.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have one complaint. The 64 emulator thing on the Switch, it's got Ocarina of Time, no Majora's Mask. Why bother?
They need to fix that.
Yeah.
They need
Why
to fix
bother?
that.
Why would I bother paying for something like that?
Yeah, it's like Sonic 3 without Knuckles.
Yeah.
Sonic 3 without the classic soundtrack.
Hard times.
No. Yeah. I think we talked about that on stream one time. So
I'm gonna go find my Clean Cube and play Majora's Mask.
That sounds like an excellent way to spend an evening. Chris, what you got?
I don't know. I'll be heading over to Angela Straven's channel to watch some wrestling in a few minutes.
Nice.
Yeah. Other than that, just working away on. Oh, I've got my manga version of Infinitale Chronicles, so that'll be cool to see how well that fares in the comics market.
Yeah. And thank you, Keely, for being here. So, if you want more Nick action, I will be on Jared's channel at 10 o'clock for Comics League Dark. That'll be pretty sweet. And if you want some Nick on Nick's action, that is a sentence I will never say again, you can join me, Nix, and Lug tomorrow at 8 p.m. on this very channel. We're going to be continuing to play Pokemon Yellow. We're going to beat up Erica, steal her money, and then go do some ghost busting.
I love violent robbery.
Yeah, and thank you, Black Reaper Kai. If you made it this far, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to check out the links below. I got my Patreon, where I post pages from Turn Samurai as they do it, and then also Redbubble. So if you want to grab some merch, that is pretty cool. Please don't. That is an excellent idea, Black Reaper Kai. And then Death Wish, what about you? Thank you, Black Reaper Kai. And so, everyone, thank you for stopping by. We will see you next week. And remember, I can only show you the door. You're the ones to walk through it.